way how to change the privacy config changed, and I didn't find the time yet to read in all the manual stuff how to do that.
Okay, so your first question is about Firefox extensions that help you start using Tor or stop using Tor. There's one called Switch Proxy, but it doesn't do everything that you want. What you really want is the little thing down here called Tor button, Tor enabled, Tor disabled. The newest version, the development version of Tor button, it's hard to see in 600 by 400 because it's down here, but there's a big pile of security settings that it's got. You can turn on or off whether you disable plugins, whether you disable cookies, whether you disable caches, and then there's history. Do I want to block history reads? There are all sorts of cross-site, cross-something or other scripting attacks where you can, on one site, learn that you visited some other site, and Tor button will turn off the ability to do that attack. There's forums. Do I really want to save everything locally? Do I want to refill? Do I want to admit to the website I'm going to? There's caches. Do I want to block the disk cache? Do I want to keep two different caches? Do I want to flush the cache when I exit? There's cookies. Do I want to clear all the cookies every time I toggle Tor? Do I want to just not accept cookies? Do I want to keep two separate cookie jars, one for when I'm using Tor, one for when I'm not? On shutdown, should I clear the cache? Should I clear the cookies? Should I clear my history? And then there's headers. Do I want to set my user agent? Do I want to not admit that my primary language is German because then I'll look a little bit different? Do I want to change other headers? So Tor button does all of this, which means that if you're using a different Firefox extension like Switch Proxy or something like that, you're not going to get these protections. So Tor button is definitely the better thing to use. And if you're doing some connections using Tor and some connections not using Tor, Tor button does its best to keep you safe even when you're doing that. So if you're in the middle of loading some page and you click disable Tor, then it'll immediately kill all the active content in that old page so that it won't reload itself later on or anything like that. So that was the first question about Tor button. The second question was, there's this Privoxy thing that's recommended for use with Tor. It's an HTTP proxy, and it's kind of clunky to configure and not very safe. We're trying to get rid of our requirement for Privoxy. Once upon a time, Privoxy was useful for two reasons. One of them was it's a web proxy, and Firefox still isn't very good at using SOX proxies directly. And the other one was that it got rid of ads and it fixed your headers and stuff like that. Firefox is getting a lot better at both of those. It supports SOX a lot better these days, and it's got all these great privacy things built in. It does all this flushing your cookies, and it can handle changing your header. There are extensions for that. So soon, Privoxy won't be relevant anymore. There's another HTTP proxy called Polypo that I like a lot more. It doesn't have privacy features built in. Its goal is to be really fast and a small, simple caching proxy. And that means that you're not going to hit the Tor network as much because it preemptively says, well, you just loaded that page. I'm pretty sure you're going to want the pictures on it. I'm going to start fetching those now, even before you started clicking on them. So it does a bunch of smart things in the background. It doesn't care about your privacy. Firefox and Tor button should do that. It just tries to make your experience faster using Tor. Did that answer that?
Well, the other thing is I like to use Tor installed on a server. And I like to use it via an SSH connection. So I don't know if this works with the Tor button plugin. For example, if I use a PDA, and actually the thing with the browser string on a PDA is very dangerous for privacy because there are not many people using the same PDA, and actually also I cannot install the same Firefox on it.
That would make it trickier. Polypo has rudimentary features for replacing headers. It deals with the refer header and user agent and stuff like that. So that could still solve that, but our approach right now is we've got 250,000 people browsing mostly on Windows, and we'd like to switch them over to Firefox from Internet Explorer. That's step one. And there are a few people who aren't using normal browsers and stuff like that, and at this point we just hope that they're smart enough to handle it somehow. That's the best answer I can give you. We'd like to make it really easy for most people, and the rest of them hopefully can figure it out also. So if you come up with a good answer for how to do it from your PDA browser, let us know.
What about Tor for mobiles, especially for Symbian?
For mobiles?
Are you planning to do it, or?
So the question is Tor for mobile phones?
Yeah.
A few years ago, mobile phones were not fast enough to do public key encryption much. I'm told they are pretty fast these days. So that's certainly something to think about. In terms of running a Tor relay, a Tor server on your mobile, you're going to have an IP address that's the same for several hours. In the US, they don't give you these. In Germany, they might. I don't know. As mobiles get faster and they're able to do public key operations and so on, and they've got entire megabytes of memory, it becomes the same sort of question as the Linksys router. Can we run Tor on one of those? Yeah, I think we can at this point. So running a Tor client on your mobile phone should work pretty well. Another option would be you've got a computer somewhere at home and you run your Tor client on it, and then you tunnel your way through that. Just depends what privacy properties you're looking for. Okay, I've had the notion, so I'm going to be outside, and I'll be happy to answer any more questions. Thank you.